Welcome to the crossroads where ancient wisdom meets digital horizons.
So today we're going to put aside, the endless cycle of digital self-help, all the shiny new software updates. Forget the clean inbox challenge. Forget trying to build these complex relational databases.
Yeah.
We are diving into a system that is, well, I think it's fundamentally changing how knowledge workers are approaching digital life. And the amazing thing is, it's based on a craft that's been perfected over 1,000 years in the sun-drenched workshops of Morocco.
That's right.
We are talking about the Zellige Blueprint.
It's just such an incredible pivot, and what's so fascinating is that the creator, Salah Nomad, he wasn't even looking for a new methodology. He was in crisis.
Right.
I mean, this is a successful digital strategist and e-commerce owner, originally from the Jabala region of northern Morocco. His whole world was modern logistics, algorithms, global supply chains.
And then 2020 hit.
Exactly. And when the physical supply chains for his business just collapsed, he found himself totally dislocated. He actually retreated to his family's ancient olive groves.
Wow.
And it was there, while he was observing these 800-year-old trees, these systems that had endured centuries of change, he had this profound realization.
What was that?
That these ancient rooted systems had already solved the problems of modern digital burnout and fragmentation.
That is the ultimate lesson, isn't it? Seeking stability from the past. He founded this whole philosophy he calls rooted nomadism. So the Zellige Blueprint is, what, the practical operating system for that?
It is. It's an explicit challenge to that frantic modern hustle culture.
Yeah.
And I think the core mission for our deep dive today is to really understand how this system moves you away from industrial task management, which is so draining.
Oh, yeah.
And toward artistic composition.
Right.
We're using ancestral heritage as a pretty sophisticated guide to shift from digital chaos to meaningful work.
Okay, let's unpack that philosophical pivot right at the start, because I think this is where the system really earns its stripes. Modern productivity is just relentlessly obsessed with this industrial era metaphor of management. We use language like pipelines, throughput, workflows, task assembly lines. We treat creative knowledge work, writing, designing, strategizing, as if we're just manufacturing interchangeable widgets.
And that ultimately is what leads to burnout. Because when you treat your ideas and your time like they're just interchangeable parts on an assembly line, they become fragmented. They become meaningless. You just lose the sense of the whole.
Nomad gives this specific failure a name, which I think is just brilliant. Tabula rasa syndrome.
The blank slate syndrome, yes. It's that obsessive, exhausting belief that if you just buy the better tool or create a cleaner blank slate, a fresh start in a new app, that you'll magically solve a fundamental lack of clarity about what you should be doing.
I think we have all felt that compulsion, that desire to just scrap everything and start over in a perfectly organized new Notion template.
Though Nomad admits he lived this failure. He spent months building this massive complex. He called it a digital cathedral in Notion.
A digital cathedral.
Yeah. And it was technically perfect, the ultimate structure, but he was so paralyzed by the complexity and just the sheer effort of maintaining it that he failed to ship a single product on time. He was managing the structure, not composing the work.
That is the most relatable failure of the digital age. Spending all your energy creating the perfect system, only to have no energy left to actually do the work this system was supposed to support.
Precisely. And that's why the Zellige Blueprint just rejects the factory metaphor entirely. It replaces it with the dignity of the artisan studio.
I like that.
A master artisan, a malam, doesn't waste energy managing a chaotic pile of supplies. They compose a beautiful, intricate mosaic. The focus shifts from efficiency to integrity.
And by integrity, you mean restoring a kind of fundamental quality to the work itself. I really appreciate that Nomad roots this system not just in Moroccan craft, but in even older European standards. He specifically references the Roman architect Vitruvius. He says the blueprint aims to restore Vitruvius's 3 principles of design to our digital lives.
And those are so crucial. Firmitas, which is structural strength and resilience. Utilitas, which is clear utility and function. And then Venustus, which is delight and beauty.
Okay, let's pause on those for a second. How do those 3 ancient virtues translate to my email inbox and my task list?
Well, when you apply them digitally, Firmitas means your system isn't constantly breaking down or changing. It has a reliable structure.
Okay.
Utilitas means every document or task has a clear, defined purpose. And Venustus delight. That's the profound satisfaction you get when your work is beautiful, sustainable, and aligned with your values. It makes the work itself a joy, not a burden. and that's the standard we've lost.
That sets the stage perfectly. Now let's dive into the first layer of this composition, the raw materials.
We begin with layer 1, the tesserae.
The single hand-cut tile.
Yes, the atomic unit of the mosaic. In the Zellige Blueprint, this represents a single note, a task, an idea, any captured piece of information. The focus here is 100% on intentionality. You're not just capturing fragments, you're shaping them.
And shaping that raw data is what non-negotiable, because a poorly shaped tile will just ruin the final mosaic. So how does the system enforce this intentionality?
Nomad detailed a ritual mechanism he calls the Italica template. And it's essentially a mandatory process. Every single input has to pass through right at the point of capture. It ensures it isn't raw, chaotic information, but an intentional tile.
Okay, let's slow down and look at the 4 elements of that template, because this seems like the crucial moment where chaos becomes order.
Right, so the first element is the icon, a single emoji for instant visual recognition.
Simple enough.
Second, the essence. Now this is the most constrained part, a concise 7-word summary of the core idea.
7 words, that seems brutally restrictive, especially if you have a complex idea. Why such a harsh limit?
Because constraint breeds clarity. I mean, the raw idea might be 500 words long, but if you can't distill its core essence into 7 words, you haven't truly grasped its utility yet. It forces immediate intellectual rigor.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you can't summarize it concisely, you don't really own the concept yet. So what are the last 2 elements?
Third is the context, where you tag the tile to link it to domains or projects. And
Yeah.
finally, the intention. What is the desired outcome of this specific tile?
Okay.
Is it meant to inform a decision, become a piece of content, or trigger a task? Without a stated intention, it's just noise you're going to forget.
And once that tile is shaped and defined, you have to color it with purpose, which Nomad calls the purpose pigments.
Yes, these are tags that essentially glaze each tile, immediately defining its role in your workflow. We have red, actions for your urgent, immediate tasks.
Got it.
We have blue, cogitations, creations, for the creative thoughts and new assets you're actively building. And finally, green. That's all radices, roots, which is your reference knowledge, the foundational research and sources that inform your work.
So instead of having a giant, undifferentiated list of notes and to-dos, you immediately know if a tile is something to do, something to create, or something to learn from. That's a huge psychological shift right there.
It separates the raw consumption from the actual creation. It gives utility to every single piece of information.
Perfect. So we've moved from chaotic digital fragments to intentional, perfectly shaped, colored tiles, the tesserae. Now we have to start building patterns with them. That brings us to layer 2, the stellae.
The Stellae are the living constellations. Nomad argues that a project is not just a linear to-do list, it's a geometric pattern with a defined shape and boundary. This layer is entirely about enforcing focus and narrative.
And this is where the power of scarcity and constraint comes in, which, runs totally counter to the modern ethos of having it all or doing it all. Nomad enforces the famous quincunx principle.
The central constraint. The user never has more than 5 active Stellae, or 5 active projects. Never 6, never 7, always 5.
5. For a high-performing professional who juggles work, side projects, and personal development, 5 sounds incredibly low. How does he justify that severe of a limitation?
It's rooted in ancient agricultural wisdom. The quincunx is the Roman orchard planting pattern, a square with a plant in each corner and one in the center.
Oh, right.
That pattern ensures that each tree has sufficient space, light, and resources to flourish. If you try to manage 10 or 15 projects, you ensure none of them have the resources to thrive. Forced scarcity prevents the fragmentation of focus.
That makes the choice agonizing but powerful. If I can only choose 5 stars to assemble, I am forced to prioritize based on deep value, not just some fleeting interest.
And that prioritization is reinforced by the project's name itself. You have to shift the focus away from a shapeless void, like, say, SEO tasks, into a pattern with a narrative, like Weave Mediterranean SEO Trilogy. The name itself carries the shape of the completed effort.
So the narrative provides the direction, and the constraint provides the focus. And this move from abstract management to these physical, story-based patterns, this isn't just self-help talk.
No, it's backed by research. Dr. Alina Rodriguez from computational linguistics at Stanford studied the adoption of metaphor-based methodologies. She found that approaches like the Zellige Blueprint, which are rooted in story and physical analogy, have a 72% higher user retention rate than abstract methodologies.
72% higher retention. That's proof that we crave meaning, not just methodology.
And even more compelling, Her research showed that the brain applies patterns embedded in cultural stories 3.1 times more effectively than it applies pure logic or step-by-step instructions. Our minds are literally wired for mosaics and stories, not just spreadsheets and bullet points.
That explains why these ancient approaches resonate so strongly and actually stick. Okay, so we have intentional tiles, the Tesserae, and we have focused, constrained patterns, the Stellae. But a beautifully composed star pattern is meaningless if it's placed on the wrong wall. That moves us to the largest layer, the grand design. Layer 3, the Musivum.
This is the grand mosaic, the layer that provides the ultimate why. This ensures that all your focused projects, your stellae, serve the larger frescoes of your life. This is all about alignment and integrity.
Right, because if you're doing excellent work but in the wrong direction, you're just maximizing your energy expenditure for someone else's goal, or a goal that doesn't ultimately serve you.
Exactly. And the Musivum addresses this by using 5 domains, or what Nomad called the 5 frescoes, for his weekly alignment check. They're like the boundaries of your most meaningful life.
Okay, let's define these frescoes and how they apply to someone doing, digital knowledge work today.
First, we have sapientia, wisdom. And this asks if your work is genuinely creating more knowledge and insight than it's consuming. Are you growing intellectually?
Next is opulentia, wealth.
Yeah.
For a knowledge worker, I imagine this isn't just about income.
Not at all. It's about building genuine diversified value, not just trading time for money. It asks, is this project creating an asset like an intellectual property, a robust system, or a passive income stream that expands my wealth beyond my immediate clock-in, clock-out time?
Then there's communitas, community.
And this asks if your work is nourishing and building the relationships around you. This could be family, team, or audience. Are you building something that serves them or connects you deeper?
And the final two, ars craft, asking what skill you are actively honing or perfecting. You have to be continually pushing your ability.
And finally, radices, roots, asking where you are planting deep meaning and connection to your personal history, your values, your spirituality. Every single project Stella must connect tangibly to at least one of these 5.
This sounds like a really harsh integrity check, and I imagine this leads to what you call the sacrifice principle.
It absolutely does. Nomad uses this visceral example of his Instagram Reels strategy project. It was a perfect, efficient star pattern. But when he performed his weekly alignment, he realized he couldn't connect a single thread from that star to any of his 5 Musivum frescoes.
It wasn't building wealth or wisdom or community.
Not a thing. It was busy work, disguised as modern necessity.
Wow.
It was a project that served the algorithm, not his soul. He had to kill it. He sacrificed the project because he realized that energy spent on a misaligned project is a profound waste of life energy.
And this emphasis on meaning and alignment is, statistically speaking, the ultimate defense against burnout.
It is. Dr. Samuel Chen from MIT Media Lab's AI ethics research found that professionals who regularly align their projects with personal values using a robust framework like Musivum report 58% higher job satisfaction and 42% lower burnout rates.
And that's regardless of workload.
Regardless of the intensity of their actual workload. The presence of integrity protects you from the workload.
58% higher job satisfaction. That is the most valuable metric we could hope for. It shows that purpose is more critical than just pure task optimization.
Indeed. Now, this whole system doesn't just exist as files in the cloud. The Zellige Blueprint is anchored by these powerful analog-first rituals that connect the digital work back to physical practice.
How does the artisan's rhythm begin each day?
It starts with the morning ritual called matutinum, or morning tile cutting. It is a strict 7-minute ritual performed before the screen is even turned on.
Before the screen.
And it involves taking the raw fragments captured the previous day and forcing them through the Italica template to shape them into clean tesserae.
He's literally cutting the tiles for the day's composition before the flood of the internet even hits him. That sounds incredibly grounding.
It is. And the guiding question for that ritual is spoken in Latin. Quam teslam hodie percutiam? Which tile shall I strike today? It forces singular focus onto the day's most important component.
And that focus is then tested against the larger integrity check on the weekend.
That's the Solis Die, or Sunday Star Assembly. This is the weekly assembly, where the 5 project stellae are physically represented, often on 5 distinct index cards, and laid out on the table.
And here's the genius analog hack. The color-coded threads.
Precisely. You physically connect those 5 project cards to the 5 Musivum cards using colored thread. This transforms abstract alignment into a tactile visual experience. If a star card has no thread connecting it to any of the 5 frescoes, the misalignment is obvious. It demands the sacrifice principle.
You can't mentally rationalize a misalignment when you're looking at a project card just floating free on your desk.
And this constraint and clarity leads directly to execution speed. I mean, look at Nomad's own case study. When writing his Phoenician Merchant SEO article, he started with a chaotic Notion page that had 62 disparate links, notes, and research fragments. Just total digital overwhelm.
62 separate tiles that haven't been cut yet.
Right. But by forcing that chaos through the Tesserae process, he distilled the essential information into exactly 21 polished, intentional tiles. That clarity, combined with the quincunx constraint, allowed him to finish the complex article in 3 days instead of the 2 weeks he'd originally allotted.
Wow.
The system didn't delay him. It liberated his energy by removing all the friction and doubt.
What a beautiful, tangible example of Formitas, Utilitas, and Venustas all coming together. The Zellige Blueprint is, well, it's ultimately the practical operating system for rooted nomadism. It ensures you move away from endlessly managing digital chaos and toward composing a sustainable, meaningful life's work.
That's the core synthesis. It is not about the empty inbox or the perfectly prioritized spreadsheet. It's about building a life's work, a grand mosaic that possesses all 3 of Vitruvius's principles: strength, utility, and delight.
So we'll leave you with this final provocative thought to explore on your own composition. If you analyzed your primary project right now, the one that demands the most energy and attention, which of Vitruvius's 3 principles, strength, Formitas, utilitas, or delight, Venustas, do you feel your project is currently missing?
And what artisan precision must you apply this week to restore it?
Focus on that answer, and you'll know exactly which layer of the Zellige Blueprint you need to strike first to bring your life back into alignment. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into ancestral wisdom and modern composition. We'll see you next time.
May your roots grow deep and your signals travel far.